Hello everyone, welcome to AI Anytime channel. In this new video, we are going to see that how we can, develop a Llama 2 chat application using a low code, no code platform called Clarifai. So Clarifai is a platform that helps you, develop AI applications completely low code and no code. So if you are a non-technical guy, you don't have much understanding of, large language models or generative AI in general, and if you want to, play around these LLM models and how we can quickly develop an application to test it out or just build some kind of POCs, they are very helpful in that case. Of course, you can also build production level applications with Clarifai, and it's quite old platform. Earlier we used Clarifai for computer vision, natural language processing task, but nowadays if you don't put the word generative AI, it's very difficult to sell that. So that's what we are going to see, that how we can use this platform that will help us build this application. So this video is more for non-technical people, the non-tech folks or the non-AI folks. Okay, if you want to like build some applications quickly, please watch the video completely. If you are a core techie guy, you can watch other videos on LLM playlist if you're okay with it. So if you see, currently I am on this platform called Clarify. When you are creating your account, make sure that you sign in with GitHub, because later on we are going to also have some kind of connectors that will connect your GitHub repository to, for deployment. So it's better to, deploy with GitHub. And after you do all these formalities, you will be directed to this dashboard. So very simple. They ask a couple of questions, that what is your role and like if you are a data scientist or machine learning, for your little bit of personalization, and then you will see this screen. I'm going to click on this explore on your own. Now, once I do that, it will show me, will create a new blank app for you. Hit cancel if you want to continue with the onboarding widget. Now, once I click on that, now what it does, it gives me an option of start with a blank app. And I'm going to call this, let's call this Llama 2 chat app. This is what I'm going to call, and I'm going to also give a description. And in this case, I'm just going to say, okay, a demo application to chat with Llama 2 model. Now, my primary input type is going to be text and document. In advanced settings, it asks for a base workflow. Now in base workflow, I'll keep universal for now, and let's click text document, language understanding. You can also select later, you can also change it. Now in this case, I'm going to click on text to document. In advanced understanding, it's language understanding in advanced setting, but you can also have a look for different use cases. They have different other settings. Now, once you click on create app, it will create an app for you. Let me just go on my apps and delete this one. I don't need this. I deleted it. Now you can see that I have an application here on Clarify dashboard. Okay, we have many tools like this, guys. Okay, we have Coher, we have other tools which helps you develop this application faster. Uh, you know, but it's okay if you want to quickly start, and if you are not that good with coding, etc. This helps you at least get started, play with it, and see if you can use an LLM for your use case. Now here I'm going to go inside this. So you can see I'm inside this application, and you can also upload some image and all, and you can make it a little like beautiful here on the dashboard, but I'm okay with it. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is, you can see there are a few components. In the left hand side, you have inputs where you can upload your data, CSVs, TXTs, etc., etc. Your data sets. They also have default data set. They have models. They have modules, workflows, etc., etc. I am more interested right now in something called workflows. Now, this application Clarify helps you basically create workflows. Okay, and end connectors, create workflows. Basically, it's like a drag and drop things where you can design and configure your entire workflow for the application. Now, this is what we are going to do. So once you click on the workflows, what it does, you can see that I already have a base thingy over here. I'm not going to touch that. So what I'm going to do is create a new workflow from here. You can see I'm gonna delete it. You have to create at least one workflow, and if once you create one workflow, you can delete this thing. Now, what I'm going to do here, click click on this create workflow. So let's do that. So I'm going to click on this create workflow, and here I'm just I did that, and here you can change the name. So let's change the name of this workflow, and I'm going to call this as Llama 2 Llama 2 workflow or something like that. Okay, Llama 2 workflow. Now you are okay with this. Let's click outside somewhere, and you can see in the left hand side that there is a multiple components. Now you can, if you want to work with audio to text models, you probably need this connector, like audio to text component here in this canvas. You will just click and it will be here on the canvas. But we are interested more in text to text generation, so we'll be selecting this, and once I do that, you can see now that I have something on the canvas, which helps me now, select a model, select a large language model that will help me generate some kind of text. Now, what you have to do is you have to click on this, and you can see now we have connected this IN, the input, with your text to text model, which is going to be a model. Now here you can select the model. Now if you see, it says select a model. Once you click on that, it shows us from community, because right now we haven't deployed our own model. So in that case, we have to go on the community tab and view all, and then you can look at there are different models which are already available. You have Wizard Coder, one of the best performing model for coding problems. If you want to solve some code related use cases like automated test cases generation, code conversion, coding documentation generation, then probably you can select this model and deploy it, and then you can, use the Streamlit application that I'm going to show. Now here I am more interested in no, Llama-2-70B Chat. I'm going to select this, but you can also select different other models. You can see they have Dolly, they have, Falcon, they have Code Llama. Depends on what use case you are solving. They also have recently released 5.1.5 by Microsoft. Okay, so I'm going to select on this Llama-2-70B Chat, and once I do that, now you can see that I have something called version ID, and my model has been selected, and now my input has been connected with this text to text connector. Okay, the workflow. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to first save this workflow. So let's save workflow. Once you save this workflow, you can see something called a plus icon, which says try your own text. Now, so far what we have done, guys, we have basically, you know, uh, created a workflow, and configured it and selected a model. And now we're going to test this out after saving the workflow. Now, once I click on this, try your own text, here you can see it says type your own text here. So let me do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question like, okay, give me a study plan to learn art or learn deep learning. Now, this is going to be a simple query that I'm, going to ask. And you can see in the right hand side, excuse me, they have something called model loading in progress. Now the model workflow will get triggered, it will get loaded, and they will have probably some containers, by the way. I will use very less jargons in this video because I am making this video for non-technical guys, non-tech people who wants to, start their journey in large language models and generative AI. We'll write very less code, but we'll see how we can develop our application and test it out for our use cases. Now it will take a little time, so let it happen. And you can see we have got a fantastic response in the right hand side. It says, sure, here is a high level study plan to learn deep learning. Week 1 to 2, it's asking me to learn machine learning and linear algebra, which is really fundamental and important to learn. Then it says learn supervised, unsupervised, regression, etc. Then we move to week 2, 3, where we learn about neural networks, activation functions, then 5, 6 CNN, LSTM, GRUs, then GANs coming in picture. You can see the entire workflow entire study plan has been, generated by the Llama 270B model. Fantastic, isn't it? Now we are successfully done so far. Now what I want to do, guys, I can also use this workflow. You can see it has something called use workflow. Now this is what I'm going to do. So let me just come here on my desktop, and here I'm going to create a new application. So let me just create that application. I cannot click on desktop. So let me just create a new folder and call it Llama 2 Chat. And I'm going to go inside this folder and let me open this in terminal. Now here we are going to write a few lines of code, and I'll show you what I'm going to write. And let's first create a virtual environment because we have to install a couple of libraries. So what I'm going to do is very simple. You should have Python installed in your system. And once you have that, you just do Python -m VENV. I'm using a library that helps you create that virtual environment, and I'm going to do just .venv, which is the virtual environment, the folder name where we'll have all the libraries installed. Now, once you do that, you have to go inside cd venv scripts. So let me just do that scripts, and you can see I am inside that script venv. And then on the next thing that we have to do is you have to go inside. Basically, we can activate that. So let me just do an activate. And once I activate that, you will see that. Let me on my fans for the system. Okay, now what you're gonna do is cd dot dot a couple of times, and you can see now. Now we have done this cd dot dot, and I'm just going to do clear here. And once I do clear, I'm just going to open this in code. And now it opens in code. So let's open this in code. Okay, and here you can see that we have a venv folder where we'll probably install of our all of our libraries. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a requirements txt. So let me just do that. So here I'm just going to write requirements txt, and here I'm going to install few libraries. So the first thing that we need is Streamlit app, because Clarifai right now supports Streamlit application deployment directly through GitHub or through some other connectors. Now here I'm going to do Streamlit, and I also need something called Clarifai gRPC, because we are going to use that API that we're going to deploy. Now, excuse me, Clarifai gRPC, and let me just do that. Now these are the requirements that we have for now. So let me just do pip install -r requirements txt, and it will install all these dependencies within Streamlit and Clarifai gRPC. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create an app.py. So let's do that. So app.py, and that's it. And here we also need a file called llama.py. I'll show you why I'm going to create this file. So you need two files. We need one file is app.py and the other file is llama.py. So now let's come back here on app.py. And you can see once we click on use workflow, now we have configured and this workflow, and now we can use this workflow in our application. So let's just copy this code. I'm just going to copy code here. And once I copy it, I will come back and I'll just paste this in llama.py. You have to paste in llama.py file, guys. And you can see that I have pasted in llama.py file. This is good. Now here you can see that I have my personal access tokens. But anyway, you can also get it from env file. And then, sorry guys, I have some sore throat, so I'm getting this continuously. But then you have user ID, and then you have your app ID, and then some workflow IDs, blah blah blah, and then you have some imports, and then few lines of code. Here are a few things that you have to make some changes. Now the first thing that you have to do is, after this, you create a function. You put this code in a function so we can utilize that in a separate file, which is app.py. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this completely functional, and I'm going to call this at get response. So let's do that. So get response, and inside get response, I'm going to pass my input parameter, input prompt, which is the query, and I'm going to write this prompt, and here just do this, and now you can put all this a tab like indentation. That's it. And now what we have to do here is we have to basically return a response. So let's Now here what we can do, here are a few things that we can make some changes. Now for concept in output data concepts print, now here you have to make few lines of changes. If you have to do a response, so response, you have to parse that response plus equal, excuse me, plus equals output dot data dot text dot raw, and then the next line. Excuse me, that's it. Now we have to return this response. So let's return this response. And once you return the response, it will be okay to go ahead and now execute this, guys. So this is what we need. So let's just return. So return response. Okay, so we are good with this llama.py file. You can also see it says you do not need to change anything below this line to run this example. So if you're running it in notebook and all, then you don't have to make this, like if you're running it in a Jupyter notebook or somewhere, you don't have to make these changes. But I'm going to create an application. That's why I'm making a bit of changes here. Return response is done. Now what we have to do, we have to create an app.py file. And in this app.py file, is very simple. We're going to write a Streamlit application. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do is import Streamlit as ht, and the next thing is import llama, the file that we have. So let's say import llama. Now here we're going to write a function called def main function. So let's write that function, and inside this I'm going to write my code logic. The first thing that I'm going to do is ht.title, and let's define a title. I'm going to call this llama2 chat app. And you can see that this is a main function that we are writing. Inside main function we are going to have an name for our application, and that's why we are using a title. So we call ht.title, and that helps you create the name for the title. And you can also do one thing. Let's keep it as simple as that. Now I want to initialize a session, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do is if chat history, so let's call this chat underscore history. If chat history not in ht.session state, then ht.session state dot chat underscore history equals, that will be your empty, nothing will be there. Now this, we have initialized a chat session because we are going to store that in a chat history. Now if chat history not in a stored session history, this is done. Now what I'm going to do is you need some info. So let's write ht.info, and we can write, ask your query below or something like that. Ask your query below. Now here I'm going to write ask your query below. Let's have an input text. This is a variable that I'm defining, and this I'm going to use a text area where the end user will put their prompt or input. Now in this input.text, I'm going to say ht.text area, and inside this I'm going to write enter your query. Now you can see this, we have this input text. Now what we can do, we can say if input text is not none, or let's do one thing. It's fine if you just say if input text is not. We can also do length of that, or if you input there's a value inside that. If you're just hitting that button, it will not work. Now if I'm going to do if ht dot button, let's have a button that will have something like ask or chat or something like that. Okay, ask. Now if ht dot button ask, here I'm going to again do ht dot info your query. This is going to be my query. Input text, fantastic. Now this we're just going to show on the screen that what is going to be our input query there. Now this is done. Now let's have that session state. So ht dot session state dot chat underscore history equals, now we have an user, and this user not input, so user, and then we can probably give a space and then string your input text, and then just the next line to show that by the llama2 response, right? So let's do a line break. Okay, now this is okay, plus equals user, this is right. Yeah, now I'm going to have a variable called result that will store the result. Now this line number 18, what it does, we'll have basically an a window area where you will see all the conversation history. So this is a user history where this is nothing but your prompt. So user and then some space and then input text. Now we're going to use that function called get response here that we have defined. You can see it, this function get response. Now we're going to call that function. So result equals llama dot get underscore response. And here I'm going to pass that input text because it only takes one input parameter, which is prompt. You can see it over here. We have an input parameter called prompt. Now I pass this here input text. And inside this, now again let's copy this entire thingy over here. So let me just copy, and now we'll replace user with the AI assistant. So let's first replace this user with AI assistant. So let's do that. AI assistant, and this will not be your string as input text, this will be your result. So let's do that as result, and this looks nice. Now we are okay with this chat history. This makes sense. And now just do st.success for result to print the result. So st.success, and here I'm gonna print response. Okay, and that's it. Excuse me. String success response. Fantastic. Now we are done with this thing, guys. Now come out of this if loop here, and now let's uh, create that windows for to show the conversation. For that, I'm going to have a text area again. So st.text area, and inside this text area, we're going to have a chat history as a label. So chat history, and let's call this chat history. And inside this chat history, what we can also have is a value. So value, and it's going to be /n, value n plus st dot session state chat history dot chat history, and then plus. Okay, this looks nice, and we can also give a height to this. So let's give a height, and let's have a 300 as height. Now we have created this window where we are going to show the chat history. Now what I'm going to do is session underscore, let's have a variable called session underscore data, and inside this I'm just going to have n next line plus st dot session state dot chat history plus, that's it. And when we need a list, guys, we forgot to define that list. So let's have a list called empty list where we're going to append this. So let's call this message underscore data, and which is nothing but an empty list here. So let's do that. Now I did that, and here sessions. Now what I'm going to do is just going to update append that. So message data dot append, and with your session data. That's it, and we are done. Now we have written. Now let's close this, and let's run this now main function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this. So if underscore underscore name underscore underscore equals main function. Now we are done. So let's run this now. So here, if what we have to do, we have to just do streamlit run app.py. Now we see once we hit enter Streamlit run app.py, it will open a new tab in the browser. Now you see it opens a tab, and it has opened the application also called Llama-2 Chat app. Now here we can ask questions, the same questions, some question that we can ask here. There's a question that we ask on the workflow. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask a similar question like, okay, give me a study plan to learn give me a study plan to learn deep learning in 6 months. This is what I'm going to ask, okay, that how I can learn deep learning, and I'm expecting now that Llama-2-70B chat model will generate some response for me. Now let's see that, okay. Now we don't have to worry about the infrastructure because we already have deployed that on Clarifai. Now Clarifai takes care of it. Now this works fine for POC, some kind of MVP, some use cases, testing and all, but in production, if you want to use similar kind of a thing, there are a lot of things that you have to take care of it. Okay. So this is good for POCs and use cases, and this is good for non-technical people. If you are a technical people who are really pro on writing codes and who understands natural language and LLMs, then you don't have to worry about. I'll probably say these things. Now, you see, here is a suggested study plan to learn deep learning in 6 months. It says month one, you learn introduction to machine learning and Python, and they also have quoted one of my favorite book, Python Machine Learning by Sebastian Rashka, and on hands-on machine learning with by Aurelian Geron. Like these are the favorite book. You can see that I also have that book here, of Aurelian Geron, this book, particular big book here, which is the hands-on machine learning with scikit-learn, Keras, and TensorFlow. So this is fantastic. And in the month two, We go into the mathematics of deep learning where we understand linear algebra, calculus, probability, optimization, etc. Then we look at the mathematics behind loss functions, activation functions, etc. Then in the month three, we go towards neural networks and convolutional neural network. Then we start with RNN, LSTMs, GRU, and then GANs coming in. So this is a month six project and application. So if you have 6 months of time and if you want to learn deep learning, this is what Llama 2 thinks. Okay, this is how you can approach and learn deep learning in next 6 months. And you can also see we have a chat history over here where you can see all of your chat history. So this is one query that I asked. Now I can also go and ask other questions like, for example, something like, uh, for example, can you suggest some use cases of AI in circular economy? Now, this is my uh, query, and I asked this query, and I'm expecting that Llama-2-70B chat model that we have configured the workflow on Clarifai will generate some response for this. So let's wait and see. So you can see it takes around 20 to 30 seconds, depending upon, of course, the uh, network that we use also, the connections, the network that we have with the Clarifai endpoints from the backend. That's how it works under the hood because we are using uh, if you see here, let me go back to requirements txt. You can look at that we are using gRPC, so it also matters that how the networking is happening, under the hood, and that also takes around 20 to 30 seconds to generate the response. Sometimes if you are not active, it goes to sleep mode, okay, on Clarifai, and it might generate error, so you have to again hit it a couple of times to get that up and running. Now you can see certainly AI can play a crucial role in supporting the transition to a circular economy by optimizing resource use, reducing waste, and promoting sustainable practices. And you can just have a look at that. All of your answers perfectly fine, isn't it? And you can see the histories are getting stored here in this chat history thingy over here. This is fantastic. You can see all of your questions and answers and everything. The user, can you suggest some use cases? You can also export that in a PDF or something like that, later on if you want that. Create a button to save that in a PDF file and get that PDF file later. Now, this is what on the Streamlit thingy that we did. Now, you can also do one thing. You can put that in a GitHub repository, okay, and you can just again create uh, basically you can connect with that. I'll show you that what I'm talking about. So let's do that now. So what I'm going to do here, let me just go back on my GitHub repository and create a new repository. And in this new repository, I'm going to call this, for example, Llama to uh, chat app demo, something like that. And I'm going to just copy this, Control C, and put it over here, Control V, using Clarifai and Streamlit. This is what I'm going to write, and let's say this public, add a readme, put a add git ignore. So let's keep Python over here, and let me just do Python, and license is none. This is fine. Choose a license. Let's call it MIT license, and I'll just create repository. Now, once I create the repository over here, it will take little time. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add files. I'm not going to do like a commit or something because I will only have 2, 3 files. So let me just do app requirements. I think I'm in the wrong folder. Llama 2 chat app by requirements. These are the things that we have to do. And let me just do initial commit and commit changes. Now, once I do that, we can make some changes. Now, let's go back to llama.py file. And in this llama.py file, what we can do, we're going to edit this file here. And in this, I'm not going to call this at I'm going to keep this here. Now here I'm going to make changes. I'm going to call this at st.secrets.pat, and here on the user ID I'm going to do the st.secrets.user ID. So let's do that, user ID, and here I'm going to call this st.secrets.app ID. Okay, now we make these changes. ht.secrets.app id, user id, and pat personal access tokens that we get it from the application. Also from setting you can get it. Now we're gonna commit changes, update llama pi 5, and now we have our files on GitHub. Now we can use the modules connector within Clarifai. Now once you come inside it, let's go to your application, guys. Now once you go on the application page over here, you can see that we have two workflows. Let's go on the workflows. Let's delete this workflow. We don't need this workflow. So I'm just going to delete this workflow. It says could not delete because we have to make this as a base. So let's just do one thing. See workflow, edit workflow. Let's keep this as it is. And here on the modules, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new module. So let's create a new module. And in this new module, if you see here, it says some module ID. And here we are going to create the module that will help us connect with our GitHub repository, guys. So let's do that. So here I'm going to write, llama to chat demo. And here I'm going to write llama to chat demo app. And this is okay. Let's keep this. Uh, I'll currently keep this as public. I'm okay with it. So let me just do create module. There was an error. It's must app public to make modules public, which makes sense because our app is currently private. We will make these changes later. Or I can also make this public here. Okay, so if you want, you can make this public. From here, you can make this app visibility as public, but this will say currently app is now public. And now once you go here, maybe I have to refresh, I don't know. Okay, let's see. It says successfully added module. So it has successfully added the module here. And once you come down, it will show you a few things that is important. Now, if you keep this public, or should we make this private? If I make this, okay, then it's public, it's fine. Now what I'm going to do here next is let's create a module version. Okay, so in this version, so now if you make this app public, okay, then it doesn't make sense to remove the tokens from the GitHub repository that we made secrets. So in that case, let me just go to modules and I will delete this module. So let me just delete this module. I'm going to delete module and you can see it's successfully deleted, and I will go to overview of this app settings, and again I will change the visibility of this app. Now you can see it says app is now private. So let's keep our app private. Okay, now I'm going to go inside modules again. And here on the modules, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new module, and again the same name because we have changed the value in the GitHub repository, isn't it? And here I'm going to call it llama to chat demo and llama to chat demo app, and let's call this private create, and you can see it successfully added module here, llama to chat demo. Now here what we can do, we can come here and copy this entire thing, and this is what I'm more interested in. So let me just copy this, and here I'm going to come inside this, excuse me, let me just close this, and here you can paste your entire thing, llama to chat app demo. And now what I can do is I have to just do tree and main. Okay, because I only have one branch, so I'm just calling it main branch. Then you hit enter, and you can see that once I do that, it commits some SHA values over here. You can also click on that to preview. So you can see it fetches the readme from there. Okay, on that Streamlit app that we have, you can see Llama 2 chat app demo using Clarifai and Streamlit. Then it has a version ID 1 because we are doing it for the first time. It has some, module version description. Maybe we can give some description here, guys. So let's do a sidebar title. So sidebar title can be Llama 2 chat app, chat demo. So demo and module version dependent description. So Streamlit app for Llama 2 chat demo using Clarifai. Okay, and this should be, let's keep this private, and here we're gonna put this value, guys. So this is what I'm going to do. Let me just do a control C, paste it over here as control V, and remove this couple of things, okay, from here. Now this is what we have to put it over there, and then it will ht.secrets that it will fetch from here. Now you have page, now create module versions. Now what it does, it says deploying to Clarify clouds. It deploys on Clarify clouds, your application, the Streamlit app that we have built, waiting on a module to be built. 8 seconds have elapsed and something, and it will do that, by the way. Okay. So let it do. And if you see here, you can also click on deploy here as well. You can see Streamlit Community Cloud. You click on deploy now. It will also deploy. The app's code is not connected to a remote GitHub repository. To deploy on GitHub, please put your code in a GitHub repository and publish the current branch, which makes sense because it is not connected. So you have to make the changes in config to ML and all. But this is how it can work. So if you go to Streamlit Cloud and Streamlit Community Cloud, and you go into sign in. So let me just go sign in with my GitHub repository, which is, let me just do that, by the way. I'm going to do that. And then you can deploy. It takes it, I think it gives you around 1 GB or something like that on a space. Okay, memory to do that. And authorize Streamlit. And excuse me, where is my two-factor authentication? So let me just do that for smartphone and confirm digit. I just did that and it's done. Now it will do the authorization. And yeah, let's see. I will open that all of your GitHub repositories and all. Very easy to deploy on Streamlit application, guys. To do that. And this is happening. You can see it has done. It has balloons and all that has been happening here. It all had. You can see it over here. It says, now what you have to do, you have to click on install module here. So once you do install module, it will install this module into your user AI anytime by clicking the install module. So let's do that. It will open a new tab. We'll ask a couple of things in end, and let's see. Excuse me, I did a wrong here. This will probably be not be my GitHub account. I have to log out again. So let's use the file again, and you can see to install module. I'll keep this private. Install to this app privately, and now click to use installed module version. Once you have to click that, it will open a new tab, and you have to authorize with all of the GitHub thingy over there. So let's now click on authorize. And once you do the authorize, it will take a little time. Now let's come back over here, and you can see that I already have. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to log out, sign out of this. So let me just sign out, continue with GitHub again, continue with GitHub, and I will now log in with this. Yes, and now I'll be able to basically deploy on Streamlit Cloud as well. This is what we want to do. So let's do that on Streamlit Cloud. And you can see all of our apps here. Now I'm going to click on new app, and you can see app Llama-2 Chat app demo. This is Streamlit, not is app.py. Will it not give me this domain? Domain is available. And here I have to put my secrets. So let me just do that. I'm going to put my secrets here. Advanced settings, put our secrets. Let me remove this couple of thingy over here. And I'm just going to save. And I click on deploy. Now once I click on deploy, it will start cooking something. It has a very, unique, you can see over or something that it gives, the loader messages, which is really cool for enhancing the customer experience, from the UX standpoint, which is fantastic, isn't it? And I don't know, let's see if you can see here we have our app, guys, the same app that you were seeing here in Llama 2, because I use the dark background, that's why here. Now you can see that we have deployed our app successfully, on Clarify Cloud, and you can use that, but this is private. You can also make it public. It's very much self-explanatory. Now, the same thing can be done here on Streamlit. You have to basically, let me just plug my charger in, excuse me. And once you click on manage app, you can see it's installing everything over here, by the way. And yeah, I mean, You can see it will load or something will give error or something, whatever it. Now, what we have done here, guys, we have deployed the same application on Streamlit, and we have this link. I will give this link. I will let me update this link in my GitHub repository, so you can also test it out. And here I'm going to click uh, on the README. So let me just click. So if you want to use that, you can also try it out. For some of your use cases, deployed app link, and you can just go ahead here and let me make commit changes. And once you come back here, you will probably see this app which has been deployed. Now, what we have done, we have deployed an app on both Clarifai Cloud and Streamlit Community Cloud. Both are community cloud, by the way, okay, because we are not paying anything to deploy this. Now we have deployed this, and now we are able to basically, you'll be able to do whatever you want to do with this. The same thing that we have done over here. Can you suggest some use cases of AI in circular economy or something like that? Something, whatever it is. Okay. Now let me just ask this here. It didn't respond anything. Now let me ask here and see. And you can see we got our response here. We have to see that why didn't we get our response on Streamlit? Maybe I have to check that. But we got our response on this, on Clarify Cloud, on Llama 2 chat app. We asked, can you suggest some use cases of AI in circular economy? And we got our fantastic, a very beautiful response. You can see the chat histories and all. Maybe on Streamlit, it's probably there's something wrong with either with the authentication, maybe through some credentials. We have to check that. But you can do that exercise, by the way, if you are doing it on Streamlit. But the whole agenda of this video was to show you that how you can use the Clarify platform to basically, configure a workflow, create some modules, deploy your application through Streamlit, and how you can run it locally. You can see we are also running it locally. We are running it on Clarify Cloud, and we also deployed on the Streamlit app, though it's one not running for whatever reason. We have to see that. But that's all. This is what I wanted to do. Maybe I can also show you that how you can create I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm in a mood right now to write some code. What I can also do, let's create an API.py file here, and in this, I'm going to write in requirements.txt. What we can do, we can install FastAPI. So let me just do FastAPI thingy over here, and I'm just going to stop this thing over here. Let me just do a control. So, yeah, and I'm just going to do pip install requirements txt. It will install all the fast API thingy, and oh, did it install fast API? It's very fast. Okay. And now in this API.py file, what we have to do, we have to probably, copy all the files that we already have in llama.py. So let me just come here on llama.py and copy everything. I'm just doing a control C and come here in API.py file. Now, if you don't want to, you say, hey, I don't want to use this through Streamlit or Clarify. How can I use it through Fast API, an API endpoint? Let's do that. Why not? So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to make all these changes here. Let's keep this as it is. And here I'm going to make few changes. The first thing that we're going to do here is let's do from Fast API, import Fast API. So let's just do import Fast API and query response, something like that. Okay. Depends HTTP exception. Yeah, this is what I need from Fast API and import fast API. Then need fast API from responses. So from fast API dot responses, and I'm going to do import, JSON response for output, and then need redirect response to redirect to docs, the Swagger specification, or whatever you call it. Okay, 8,000. JSON response, redirect response. This is what I need, and I also need from typing import optional, not operator, by the way, optional, and I also need Pydantic for data validation for from Pydantic import a base model. Excuse me. from parentic import based model. Yeah, for validating the input, guys, input based model. And now what I'm going to do here next is let's have an app called app where we initialize an app called FastAPI. And inside this, I'm just going to run. I don't know why I opened the terminal by mistake. Let me just do in controls whatever. I'm outside it. App fast API, and here we have all of our inputs, etc., etc. And I'm going to write a class here. So let's write a class for pydantic validation, and I'm going to call input prompt. Let's call it input, prompt. And here I'm going to pass my base model. So this is going to be a base model, and inside this class, I'm going to write, prompt, which is a string, the input query. So let's write this prompt as a string. I don't know if I will get succeeded with this, guys. Okay, so class input prompt base model prompt string, and now, so we are not going to touch anything in this function. Okay, we are okay with this. Okay, so we have initialized an app something with this. Let's see if we get any error or something. But this just to give you some idea that how we can do that. Now I'm gonna create some decorators. So the first thing in a app get the API route here. Okay, so endpoint route. So app get. So we're gonna have a get request, and inside this, I'm just going to call this at get model response. So let's call this get underscore model underscore response, and this is going to be a dictionary. So let's call this response class response model. Response model equals dict. Okay, this is a decorator. Now inside this, we're gonna write an asynchronous function. So let me just do that. Async, and here I'm going to write that. So let's get model response. And what we can also do, let's use that to yes, async function, and here I'm going to write a function called def get model response. So let's do that. So get model response, and inside this we're going to have a prompt. So our prompt is nothing but going to be a string, and that will get validated by pydantic. So let's do that. So prompt string, which is going to be your query. So query, and if you're using Jinjas and all, maybe you have to look at form or something like that. In query, I'm going to have my title, and in title is nothing but let's call this input prompt. Input prompt. You can also give description. Let's give it a description, guys, here. So description, I'm going to do Alt G, description, and in description, I'm going to write user input prompt to the model. Here we go. And inside this, now I'm going to write response. So response equals get underscore, yeah, get underscore response function. And inside this, I'm going to call this my prompt, which is the string, and just going to return this response through a JSON response. So return JSON response, and my content is nothing. So let's use content, and my content is nothing but this model response, which can, so content can take a key value pair. So I'm going to just write model response, and this model response is going to nothing but your response. I don't know why it's showing plus, by the way. Okay, model response. Okay, I am making a mistake. Uh, Key value pair. I don't know why I'm treating as a string kind of a concatenation. Now return JSON response. We are okay with this first function, which is your model response. Now what we can also do here, guys, we can have one more function. So let's do that. Okay, in that case. And in this case, I'm going to have an app dot get again. And here I'm going to have an empty endpoint because nothing will be there. So when you are hitting it for the first time at localhost 8000, it will open the docs, which is your Swagger specification, the Swagger UI. Okay. Or if you want to go on redoc, you can also do that. Now app.get, and here I'm going to say include in schema equals false. I don't want to include this in schema, by the way. Okay, the schema of the API specification. Now here it's also a async function. That's the beauty of fast API. Now async def, redirect to docs. So let's do redirect, to docs function, and inside this, I'm not going to write any parameter. I'm just going to return redirect response, and the URL is your doc thingy. Okay, so docs. Here we go, that's it. And now let's have an if kind of a thing. Run this uvicon thingy. So I'm gonna do import uvicon inside this, by the way. Import uvicon, and here I'm going to basically run this application. So uvicon run dot run. Uvicon dot run, and you can specify port, debugger, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to run this as an app, which is my app initializer fast API on top. And my host is going to be local host to 0.0.0.0. And then I'm going to specify the port, which runs on 8000 on fast API, through Ubicon. Okay, so port 8000. Let's try it out our luck, guys. Okay, I don't know if this will run, but just to give you an idea that this is how you can create a boilerplate to also use this as a fast API endpoint. So what I'm going to do here next is I'm going to open this and write, Python API dot py. And if it basically gives no module name uvcon, fantastic. Okay, we started getting errors. Now pip install uvcon. And if it does not work, it's fine because the video is already too big, to be honest. Now what I'm going to do here, try it out for the last time, and you can see it says Ubicon running on port 8000. Now what I'm going to do here is open a local host 8000. So let's just do that. And you can see once I open localhost 8000, it basically opens on a default get model response here, something. I don't know if this, and you can try it out here in this input box. Let's ask the same question that we tried here. So you can see this is a Swagger UI basically. If you do redoc, it will take you to some other specification. Okay. But here you can try it out. Now you can use this endpoint and you can still try it out in Postman, in Zmonia locally. You can also deploy this somewhere, on Render or Vercel, wherever you want, and you can use that as well. This is just showing that how you can use this. I don't know if this is going to work, but if this is what it is, guys. Okay, if it does not work, it's fine. I shown you that how you can use it on Clarifai and here, on Streamlit, locally also. You can see we have closed this, so let me just do that. But I hope you learned something from this video, guys. If you like the video, please hit the like icon at least. And if you have any queries, if you struggling with LLMs and generative AI, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can find me through my social media channels. It's on YouTube banner on, or also on the YouTube About Us. You can get it from there. Okay. And you can see we got our response. Fantastic. Okay. AI can be applied in various ways to support the circular economy. Here are some examples. Predictive maintenance being one. I agree with this. So the predictive maintenance, you can use it. Then we also have, what do we have? Circular business model, waste reduction in agriculture, closed loop production. Fantastic, right? Llama-2-70B Chat deployed completely in free on Clarifai, and it's okay to quickly build your LLM application to test some of your use case. Okay, now the next video on Clarifai will be how we can use LangChain with Clarifai on your document. That video is also coming very soon. If you like this video, go ahead and take the code from GitHub repository. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Please, like, subscribe, and comment. Please share the video and channel with your friends and peers. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.